5 some odd years now. Isn't this how they always go about things though? Like it's always keeping your cards close to the vest and not really revealing too much information, whether it's medical HIPAA violations, whatever the case may be. It doesn't seem like they ever really reveal that stuff. And Pop is notoriously stingy when it comes to his press conferences and whatnot. The organization notoriously stingy when it comes to releasing information. So isn't that something that you kind of would have expected from them?
No, not necessarily. I mean, because I think, it just depends on the circumstance, right? This is different. This is not like any situation that we've encountered with the organization to this point, in my opinion. I mean, this is having to do with somebody's well-being, and he's a coach. He's not a player. So, in that regard, there's probably league rules that, they're able to at least, I don't even know how I want to put it, or maybe be less forthcoming. Not forthcoming is not there, because I don't want to act like they're hiding anything. They're just not saying anything. And because they're not, we're saying very little. And then, if you start asking or talking to other people that are a little closer to the situation outside the organization, you reach certain conclusions. So I don't know how to measure this against anything else that's happened to this point. Yes, they like to keep things close to the vest, generally speaking, but again, this is a whole different animal when we're talking about, people's right to know. How much does Pop want?
What is their right to know, though? I mean, he's not a government official. He's not the president or the mayor or whatever. What is the public's right to know? It's not like,
right.
Like, how much should we be privy to? I guess.
I mean, that's a very hard question to answer. I
don't have that answer.
I definitely don't either. But he is a humongous public figure. He's the NBA's dude. Outside of here, he's the NBA's all-time winningest coach.
Fair.
And this is, so the fact that we're not getting anything other than a brief press release 11 days after the incident took place is just one of the many reasons why I'm concerned.
It was a very brief press release. It was like 4 sentences.
Right.
I also found it interesting / disturbing that last night, Shams Charania of ESPN reported that players were around when Coach Pop went through his medical episode, had his mild stroke, quote unquote mild stroke, and that it was a really traumatic thing for them.
I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. Last night, Brian Wright was also asked about that, and this is what he had to say about how the players are handling this situation.
Yeah, really well. But that doesn't mean it hasn't been hard, right? Again, I don't know that there's another person that means so much to another organization, sports or non-sports. And he's more than a coach, right? Like, I think when you think about it, he doesn't sit up here and talk X's and O's all the time, right? Like, he's talking about life and keeping things in the right perspective. And I think the guys, they feel that that's a part of their growth and development, especially with a young group. And so it's difficult, but again, I think they've done a really, really phenomenal job of staying focused and trying to stay in the moment. And as Pop would say, pound the rock.
So Chuck, you've reported on these guys for a long time. This is a 75-year-old man who just suffered a stroke, who is coaching one of a promising young team, especially after what we saw last night, a 6-6 team, a promising young team. Do you think that Pop comes back to coach this team? And that's speaking from your experience of covering this team, of knowing Pop, of speaking to Pop on multiple occasions, and kind of reading between the lines of what we know right this second.
What we know right this second isn't a whole lot, right? So, again, it's hard to kind of spitball something like this. I guess my hope would be that he's able to come back and coach this team at some point.
Yeah, not necessarily will, but able.
100%. I mean, first and foremost, he can get whatever it is that's ailing him and get to the point where he can come back and coach this team again, because I'm sure that's probably what he wants to do. This is who he is. I mean, and he's pretty damn good at it, as proven over time with gold medals and 5 championships and everything else. So that would be my hope. But I know there is concern, at least with some in the organization that he has coached his last game in the NBA. And that breaks my heart in a lot of ways if that ends up being true. But, time will tell.
Whether it was his last game or not, he will always be a part of the organization. If he retires, he will definitely get a front office kind of Pat Riley-ish kind of gig where he's overseeing a lot of those things, I would assume, unless he doesn't want that. I mean, if he wants a role in the organization, he will have a role in the organization, just like all of the former players, the Tim Duncans, Manus, everybody who's come and gone through this organization that's well respected and alumni of San Antonio. They're always welcome by the organization, but Pop has been such a stalwart for so long that even if he has coached his last game, it's not like he's going to be like, you know what, I'm done. Like, I'm out.
I mean, that's the hope, right? I mean, I'm just, pulling for everything to end up on the positive side, and then that Pop is able to make a decision based on, good health, and all of that entails to say, I'm either going to do this or I'm not going to do this.
There's been nothing yet. Thinking of how to word this. There's been nothing publicly yet to tell us that he is not coming back. Every indication right now is that he's going to get fully healthy. He will come back when he's ready to come back, not when the organization's ready for him to come back, but when he's ready to come back. We don't know when that's going to be. There's a really, really good article that you and I both read yesterday by Mike Finger, the columnist over at San Antonio Express News. It was an extraordinary article.
It was.
Very, very well done. He's one of the best in the business for a reason.
Yep. And Dusty did a good job too for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Dusty did a good job too. But in Finger's article, he says that the Spurs are going to do the right thing by Pop, not just because of Pop, but because of Pop's family, because of his grandchildren, because of his kids, because of everything that Pop has put into this organization. The organization is going to give him all the time that he needs. And I think Mike Finger speculated that that's going to extend well into the new year. Shams also reporting that this is going to be an extended absence for Coach Pop. So I don't think that anyone should expect to see him on a sideline until probably at least January 1st. But I wouldn't even expect to hear from him probably until at least Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I don't, again, want to speculate on any of that stuff.
That's just what we've been heard.
Yeah, right. I just, to me, I don't think we live in a vacuum, right? We're all talking to people and other people are talking to people. And so it's hard to know exactly what the truth is in all of this. So, again, just hoping for this to have a very positive outcome, and that ultimately Gregg Popovich is going to be able to make a decision for himself one way or the other, whether he wants to continue on or not.
Best part about last night was that he's okay, and he's still making the jokes that he has been famous for making with his own guys. So Bob?
I just have a question. Why is Mitch Johnson coaching the team?
That's all for speculation too, because Brian didn't really want to answer that question either last night. But he was asked. Brett Brown is a coach on this team, and Brett Brown has head coaching experience. So why not put him in charge? I think what they see in Mitch Johnson is they are a parent. And I think that's what everyone's trying to get Brian to say is Mitch the heir apparent to Coach Pop whenever this happens? Because before, in previous Pop absences, they've had, like a guy that was scouting the next two teams take over for those two games and be the head coach, not necessarily someone who they thought as long-term solution. But now when it was immediately tabbed, okay, Mitch Johnson's going to take over, this isn't going to be a short absence, it leads you to believe that they believe Mitch is this 37-year-old man who's been around the organization for a long time is going to be the heir apparent to Coach Pop.
I can't disagree with that, right? I mean, Mitch, and I don't know him, he sure looks like a sturdy guy, right? He's even-keeled. He's a Stanford guy.
Sturdy.
There's a lot about him. And then you think about the youth of this team, and if you're going to try to keep this core together going forward as they figure themselves out in this NBA, why not have a younger guy like him that can kind of grow up with the team and they, part of the bonding thing and, create a family-oriented thing. I think there's some wisdom in finding out in a very adverse situation, how is this team going to proceed with a younger guy kind of leading the way? And again, he just seems like a very, very even-keeled, I don't know how to put it any other way than sturdy.
Well, you listen to his press conference. He's very Popovichian, I will say. Popian. I don't know. I don't know how to word this, but his press conferences, like even last night's, and I had it in my notes to talk about when we talk about last night's game. Even last night, he's like, yeah, I mean, we played like crap on defense. They allowed 130 points, even though they won, and Wemby scored 50, which we'll get to in a second. He was very Popovichian.
But again, I think you're seeing it's like, okay, Gregg Popovich isn't here guiding this team, but it's not like all of a sudden they're playing differently or they're running a bunch of different stuff. It's, Gregg Popovich has done a very good job of allocating power to his assistants. And, you see Mitch out there before a game working with some of the guys that are deep in there on the bench. I mean, the bonds that are being made just from that, in the front yard. I mean, those things over time start to mean something and have extra value than just the motions of a coach feeding a player a ball while he's shooting threes. I mean, things happen in a non-communicative way or non-verbal way, I should say, that, over time you would think are going to pay some dividends.
Pop's also given a lot of responsibility to other guys, Mitch, and plenty of the other coaches that are Brett. I mean, all the other coaches that are on the bench right now have other responsibilities that maybe a head coach in another organization would have. So, like we said, the most important thing is that Pop's okay.
Amen.
They say he's going to make a full recovery, and that's the period, end of sentence, end of topic there, unless Bob has anything he wants to say.
Yeah, I just wanted to, everybody's watching. We encourage you to put your thoughts in the comments, especially if you have any well wishes or anything for Pop. Put those in the comments. We'll put them up over the live stream.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Bob. So let's get period, end of sentence, end of topic. Let's get to the next one, which was the game last night. Much more uplifting subject here. So it was less than a week ago that an anonymous NBA scout said Victor Wembanyama, quote, is not impactful at all on offense. And he, quote, looks like he's playing without a whole lot of direction. To that, Victor has said, ha! I laugh. Because over the last 3 games, Wemby's averaging 36 points a game, almost 7 3-point made field goals, 12 rebounds, just to top it off, 4.33 blocks per game. And he, last night against the Wizards, who, albeit, it's the Wizards, they suck. I'm sorry. The Wizards are not a good team. Jordan Poole went for 42 as well. But last night, Wemby goes for 50 points, 8 threes, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 blocks, and 1 steal. He is the first Spur to go for 50 since LaMarcus Aldridge in 2019, just the 8th Spur of all time to go for 50. First Spur to do it in regulation since David Robinson's 71. It's the first player in NBA history to have 3 straight games with 6 3-pointers, 6+ 3-pointers and multiple blocks. He is the 4th youngest player in NBA history to score 50 points in 1 game. Wembanyama is the first player in league history with 23 pointers and 25 blocks over the last 6 games. And only 6 players this season have hit 6 3-point field goals in 3 straight games. Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, Buddy Hield, LaMelo Ball, Derek White, and Victor Wembanyama. Guards and Victor. So
it's impressive.
An anonymous NBA scout can suck it. Because what we've seen from Victor, at least over the last 3 games, is otherworldly.
I can't deny that. The thing is, like, up to that point when the anonymous guy said what he said, there were some shots that Victor was taking like 10 feet beyond the arc and just crazy Steph-like shots that I thought, okay, really dumb. Some of them were going in, though. So it's like, it's not a bad shot if it's going in, right? That's the age-old adage. It's only a bad shot if it doesn't go in. So, but what's going on over the last week has just been, it's silly in a lot of ways. It speaks to, obviously Victor's ability to make shots, but I think it's bigger picture. The ball is moving. Guys are finding each other. They're finding the open shot. Victor's not the only one that's had a good week, right?
Right.
Chris Paul, his plus minus over the last 3 games is plus 70 something. I mean, Chris Paul didn't have a huge night scoring the ball last night, but I think he had 10 assists.
He had 11 assists.
11? Okay. What he's doing to me is like the secret sauce in all this. I mean, because a lot of it, I don't think is going to pass the eye test, because when you see the stats, you go, oh, wow, Victor 50, wow, 50. And right, that's amazing, especially He did it in 26 minutes, right?
He got
Something stupid like that?
he got 250 in 26 minutes,
Right.
which is the fastest any player has ever gotten 250 in the amount of playing time. He ended up playing 32 minutes, but he didn't score in the last 6 because they took him out thinking, all right, you're done with like 6 minutes left in the game, and then because they were up by 20, and then the Spurs bench just vomited all over themselves, and then Victor had to come back in the game.
Well, in Monday's game, I think it was Monday. Was it Monday? This seems like an
He
awful
scored
long
34.
week. But just watching them play basketball, and I think somebody alluded to it, and I don't remember who, so I apologize about, the return of the beautiful game. That's what it looked like. I mean,
Jordan Hounds.
It was easy to watch. It looked like basketball. It looked like basketball that we used to see here on the reg. And I kept thinking, man, I would watch this. This looks actually pretty good. And then you know what was even cool about last night, even though as stupid as it was, because the Wizards were fouling every 2 seconds and extended the last 30 seconds of that game about 20 minutes.
It was horrible.
Trying to get back in it like it was a college game.
I'm sure it was
and even
bad
Chris
for you
Paul
too,
was like, right, exactly. But Chris Paul was like going at their bench and at their coach and saying, what are you guys doing? This is stupid. Like somebody's going to get hurt. But if the Spurs played defense like that, like they were doing full court stuff up 8 or 9 with 26 seconds left to go, and it's like, yeah, I like it. Let's see more of this. And so I just think you can see something building here. And if you're going to try to be a pain in the keister with 29 seconds left and really ball out and cover a team from baseline to baseline, full court press, 5 was killing me last night. I loved what was going on there with that. That's what I think people want to see, right? Act like it means something.
You said keister.
I did. I didn't want to cuss like you on the air.
I think you made a great point with Chris Paul. I mean, he doesn't get 50 without Chris Paul last night. He was he was feeding him the ball. He knew what was happening, and it's great to have an adult on the court to like actually
well
make
said.
It happen.
Chris Paul's also, he's seen 50 before. So let's get to the post game real quick. This is from Wemby, Chris Paul, and then Julian Champagny, and then we'll get into a little bit more of the game.
Really, my first thought is eventually I want the rest of our our performances, the rest of our games to overshadow this one. It's I want to make so that in the future it's just another one.
Man, very impressive. I don't know how many 50-point games I've been a part of, but to do it in what they say 26 minutes, something like that. Oh, somebody said 26 minutes.
You got the 50 and 26 minutes.
Oh, I don't care how you get it, when you get it. I ain't never had 50, so that's tough.
The big fella, man. I mean, that's obviously that's not where it's gonna be every night, but when he comes out with that mindset, man, it's hard. It's hard to it's hard. It is hard to deal with that one. But big praise to him. Big shout out to him. He's working on his game. He takes everything personal. I don't know what it was that he took personal, but he took something personal.
So that's my favorite quote. That's why I put it at the end. That's my favorite quote from last night. Is he took something personal. Well, for anyone who watched the Michael Jordan and Chicago Bulls documentary, the Last Dance documentary that went on to Netflix and all that, or that was ESPN that went on to Netflix, I'm sure everyone has seen by now. And if you haven't, go watch it. It's really, really good. One of the best parts of that whole documentary is when Michael Jordan kept saying, I took that personally. I took that personally. I took that personal. And then he goes out and he drops 60 and like dunks on somebody's soul. So I love seeing that kind of mindset. And so to have Julian come out and say, yeah, he took I don't know what it was, but something was personal to him tonight. That's when you saw Victor. I love having a superstar that has that kind of mindset, because that's one of the things that made Michael Jordan one of, if not the best player in NBA history, was that mindset of like, you said what about me? You did what to somebody that I care about? Okay, see what I do tonight. And I love that Wemby came out with that.
It was just a phenomenal performance. Again, not just by him, because 50 points in 26 minutes. That's stupid. I don't even know how to compute that. So, but Champagny, I mean, what these guys are doing together, and it's really fun. It's been a fun week.
Those are the kind of performances and the kind of things that make you say this 6-6 Spurs team I'm excited about them. I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about what this team can eventually develop into, because you see games where they can put it all together. And yes, they played the Wizards. Yes, their defense was not as good as it probably should have been last night. They allowed more than 30 in 3 of the 4 quarters, 39 in the 4th quarter. Obviously had to put their starters back in because their bench was letting the lead up and they didn't want to lose that game. I think they cut it to 5 at one point.
You know what? I think at the end of this, though, I'm okay. And I know the coaches probably aren't, but
They weren't. Mitch
I'm
was
okay
not
if
happy with that.
if we give up some defense for some offense. This is an offensive league, right? And you're going to win some games. You know, obviously, if you're a top 5 defense, it's going to equate over time whether or not you get a lot of victories or not. But I'm okay with seeing things work better on the offensive end. And to your point, this is what we saw at the end of last year, what we've seen this week, right? Reason for hope, reason to think there is something there that you might be able to hang your hat on and stay interested in for a while, and not have these cavernous gaps between really good and then just
Right.
really dog mess.
Dog mess. I feel like that's one of the things that like
Or
people
horse
should
mess.
horse something. You should take
Doggy dong.
keister. That's one of the things that I think people should take positively about this as well, is like when you look at the Spurs play, you still see Coach Pop. Like, even though he's not there, the defensive principles are there.
well said.
The ball movement is there. The wanting to get a great shot, not a good shot. All of that is still there. So even though Coach Pop is not physically on the sidelines right now, and he's getting better and trying to improve to be back on the sidelines, you still have Mitch Johnson, who is coaching like Coach Pop. Yes, his own spin. He does his own thing. He's not Coach Pop, but coaching this team, keeping the same culture there. So I think people should also take that as a positive sign for this team, because you see all of the tenets that have made the Spurs the Spurs.
I'm just impressed that you're not freezing to death in here, bro.
Dude, I am for anyone who's watching, you can see Chuck is like
What is it? How cold do you think it's? Do you think it's in the 50s in here?
So I took my dog for a walk this morning and it was 55. It feels like that in here. It really does. It might not be that cold in here, but it feels like
Well,
that
the old
in here.
thermometer that we had in here was stuck on 59. So, and even that, you would think that it wouldn't be. This feels like a lot colder than that.
At least it wasn't stuck on 69.
Oh,
Anyway, all right, let's get to sorry, devolving into chaos here very fast. So the Spurs' next game is against the Lakers. They'll play that on Friday.
yeah, the NBA Cup begins.
Yes, stoked. Hey, we're playing the defending NBA Cup champions on Friday.
True that. So
Okay.
we start off with a bang. At least.
Man, I hate the courts.
I hate the courts,
Yeah,
too.
it's a little hard, right? But you know what? That might just be an age thing with us, dude.
It's like watching a Boise State game like every night.
That's true.
It's horrible.
It's 100% true.
Yeah, it's awful. Anyway, so let's get to the last thing on the agenda for tonight. Congratulations to Victor on his new career high, and I hope one day he scores 100. That'd be awesome. Anyway, the Spurs revealing their City Edition uniforms tonight, paying homage to the cultural heritage of Luis. You can go ahead and pop that up if you want. Of the Hemisphere in the 1970s. That is, it looks white, but it's actually like a lighter blue that you can see right there. So, the 2024-25 NBA City Edition theme highlights. It looks white, but it's actually a light blue. San Antonio's decades-long growth and transformation tipped off by the 1968 World's Fair, featuring design details inspired by this early 70s era. The jersey features the San Antonio word mark across the chest against a crystal blue base popularized by the men's leisure suits of the era. A checkered pattern down each side of the shorts. I'm just reading from their press release. I will
I
judge.
couldn't have said it better myself.
Oh, yeah.
I'll say that.
How was I going to describe these? I don't know. A checkered pattern down each side of the shorts draws the eye to the Tower of America's logo, a retro emblem that pays tribute to the sky-high icon of the city's iconic downtown. I did not make that up. That's just what the NBA press release said. I like them. I honestly, I love the City Edition uniforms. I'm a big Miami Heat fan, so when they do the Vice uniforms, I love those. It's just, I think that they're kind of slick. They're better than a couple of years ago when they had like the really ugly and went with the kind of the brown, yellow.
Yeah, you can't. It's hard
Edition.
to mess up white, right? I mean,
Well,
like,
they're
that's not
blue.
bad.
They're not white.
No. I mean, but That's a white uniform with
That's not
stuff
white.
on it.
That's not a white uniform.
Really?
It's I just read you the description. It's crystal
Do
blue.
you guys think that's white?
That one looks blue.
Okay. Well, shout out to the Reese's Pieces pattern on the side, right? That's makes me want to go get some Reese's Pieces.
You're gonna get me in trouble here with my wife because I say Reese's Pieces.
Yeah, that's wrong.
That sounds too close to doggy dong. Pieces and starts with an S.
Pieces and feces.
I didn't want to say that. See, I was trying to
Why
keep it
can't-
PG, dog.
We're really. So do you like the uniforms or not? Let's get back
Yeah,
on
I mean,
track
they're
here.
not bad. I mean, I'm not
Bob,
going to
what-
come down too hard on it,
Bob,
Bob.
what do you think?
I like him.
You like them?
I didn't like him until you said leisure suit, and now I'm all in.
You seem like a leisure suit kind of guy.
I don't. That still looks like white to me, though.
Yeah,
That's
the pictures don't do it justice. Somebody didn't white balance.
Can you see this?
Are
Mark?
you
Can see
sure?
this? You see a little blue in there?
No,
No.
it looks white. Well, I mean, my eyes aren't.
It's not as blue as your shirt.
Time.
Your shirt is blue.
Okay.
They're not as blue as that, but
All right.
they're definitely that one you can tell is blue with Keldon on it. But anyway, I kind of like them. I like the retro kind of the numbers and lettering on the front.
Yeah, it looks kind of old westerny.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the light blue color on jerseys in general because I hate the Chargers, but I love the Chargers baby blues. Like baby
Yeah,
blue
those
on a
are
uniform is
solid.
slick.
Yeah.
Like
How about the court? What do you think of the court?
I mean the court's okay. Court's all right. But that kind of color scheme is what was the problem. Was the orange and brown. Like that's just I'm sorry, I know you're a Browns fan. It's just not a great color scheme. It's not a desirable one. Like it's just an ugly color schemes. I was actually heard somebody talking about this earlier. It's like, why do people gravitate towards Christmas in that color scheme other than Thanksgiving? And it's like, well, Thanksgiving just has ugly colors like orange, brown,
know.
yellow. It's just ugly colors. I love Thanksgiving, but what? It's as ugly as pumpkin spice. I don't know if that's true.
I don't know that I ever thought that pumpkin spice was ugly.
I
No,
know.
think-
I like orange and brown, but I have no choice.
You're a little biased. All right, that's all we got for you today on the Sneakers Cleats podcast. Thank you for everyone who has been downloading, rating, and reviewing. It helps us out a lot, and we will keep bringing this to you. Remember to download, rate, review, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, tell a friend, tell an enemy. We'll be back on Monday. I'm sure Wemby will go for 60 by then, but we'll see you then.